Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1985's Weird Science.
What would you little maniacs like to do first?
Before we get into it, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Idle Poncho. Let's get into the cast of 1985's Weird Science. This film stars Anthony Michael Hall as Gary Wallace, Ilan Mitchell-Smith as Wyatt Donnelly, Kelly Lebrock as Lisa, Bill Paxton, of course, as Chet Donnelly.
One of my favorite characters of all time. Bill Paxton is a god. That's just what we need to rename this show.
Yes. Yes.
I love him so much. If Bill Paxton and Regina King had ever done a movie together, I could have died happily opening night.
And a special appearance by Robert Downey Jr. as Ian.
Iron Man himself, wearing Boy Scout shorts and yellow socks. Knee high.
Yes.
I love Robert Downey Jr. too. Even no Iron Man, I don't care. Robert Downey Jr. is a treasure.
I loved him. I loved him back then. I love him now. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see Robert Downey Jr. revisit, not necessarily these roles, but a role like this as the actor he is now.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
Oh, it'd be great. The closest thing I think we got to this character was like Due Date, because he's such an asshole in that compared to Zach Galifianakis. But
yes,
about as close as we get.
So this movie, okay, I haven't seen this movie in a while, and
yeah, it's been a minute.
80s comedies can go either way, dude. Like, it's either like, oh, this is really good. There's some minor things I would remove.
Yeah.
Given the, I don't know, the humor back then and what was passable back then.
You don't know how John Hughes movies are going to go.
Yes.
Because, as we found recently, there's some shit in these movies, kids. And this was surprisingly, when you talk about two 15-year-old boys computer generating their ideal woman for an hour and a half.
Yes.
This is fucking tame compared to, like, I'm coming of age in Pretty of Pink, or my parents forgot my birthday in 16 Candles. Like, there's hardly any of the John Hughes racism or rapisms in this movie.
There, absolutely. And the funny thing is, it was like, again, it's been a while, but if you read, like, the description of this movie, and then you watch this movie, it's like, oh, they're not the same thing. It's like, you basically described the IMDB description. Two 15-year-old nerds or whatever create, the woman of their dreams, and she comes to life, yada, yada. This is an hour and a half of statutory rape.
Implied.
Yes. Like, they create like a 23-year-old woman at 15. And it's like, yeah, she's going to be our sex slave, basically, is how it starts.
Well, yes, it does. And I'm going to ask you to pump your brakes there for a second, Al Franken, because we still quote, all right, which is from the biggest pederast of them all, being Wooderson in Dazed and Confused.
That's true.
And we celebrate him. So I say in the year 2021, you go, Kelly Lebrock. Get you some of that young D. I must keep them wrinkle lines off because you look good, girl.
Hey,
not my type. A little too skinny for me, but you look good.
Same. So this movie starts off with Gary and his friend Wyatt. They're two dateless teens stuck in Wyatt's posh suburban family home on a Friday night. Gary's sleeping over at Wyatt's house as they watch Frankenstein on TV.
I know whenever I had sleepovers with my buddies, we stayed up all night watching Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, if we were watching a movie, it was like Hellraiser or something fucking disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. It's Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. It was something like that. We weren't watching Frankenstein. So,
dude, we watched the Reanimator all the way up until the full frontal scene, and then it was like, I can't watch this with my friends. I have a very big no boner rule around my friends, and my first introduction into Barbara Crampton, it wasn't good around all my friends.
Yeah, that's a good rule to have. As they watch Frankenstein, Gary suggests that they use Wyatt's computer to make a girl, or at least a computer simulation so they can ask it questions
or play chess with her. Which I know some of you out there are like, oh yeah, fucking play chess, nerds. I was like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to play chess? If I'm creating a super person being, I want it to be able to teach me some pretty dope shit like chess. Like, that's smart people stuff. That's what I want to know.
Cool.
Just me. Fuck you. I can't.
That is just you.
Let's be perfectly clear. Lisa's around these guys for about 3 days.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In total. A lot of that has them more with their clothes on than off, which is accurate. There's only so much fucking you're going to be able to do inside of 3 days.
Well,
you got to go out. You got to come up for air. You got to get some Gatorade, a bag of peanuts at least. Recharge yourself.
Yeah, that's your old brain talking. At 15, there's no time in between. There's just like, hey, can we do that again?
See, at 15, I was still this age. I was just like, I can't do that again. Come on.
So they start by feeding various images and other data into the computer. After hacking into a military computer system, a weird electrical storm starts. They try to unplug the computer to stop the supernatural events that are occurring. And then finally, a real woman, Kelly Lebrock, comes out from the bathroom, much to their shock and amazement.
Thank goodness they had the pictures of Kelly Lebrock from the magazine, not to mention a fucking Barbie doll that looked exactly like Kelly Lebrock. That was insane, one. And two, why didn't they make that Barbie doll for real? Because I'd have bought that shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had to learn to kiss on a potato, if you know what I mean.
So they start their little perverted adventure by showering with Lisa, with their jeans on. And
sneakers. Don't wear your sneakers. PSA. Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. Don't wear your sneakers in the fucking shower. That's where you bathe and, like, you're naked most of the time. Your raw feet. You know why people wear sandals in college dorms? Because that shit's nasty. Wearing your sneakers into a shower is same thing. Same shit.
Yes.
Don't do that. It's fucking gross.
Well, and this leads us back into the discussion we were just having about you have basically 3 days. They don't know this right now. But you basically have 3 days. And it starts with the shower with the clothes on, which is a funny scene. And then, she gets them cars, fake IDs, cool clothes, and, they head out to this blues club.
When I said earlier that we are tame on the John Hughes racism, what I meant by that is there's one scene, and this is it.
Yes. And it doesn't really start out that way. It doesn't really get heavy until you get the Anthony Michael Hall, the drunk Anthony Michael Hall. When
you start doing the Chicken George Jim Crow cartoonish shit that white people did back in, like, the day.
Yeah.
When they were trying to dehumanize black people.
Yeah.
That's the shit where it's just like, little too, like, pump your brakes just a hair, buddy.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Listen, if he just did a drunk Anthony Michael Hall here, this scene would be a killer scene.
Yeah, because even like when he's talking at first time where he's like, I guess she likes Malancas, Dino.
She's into Malakas, Dino.
Like that, he's just being Anthony Michael Hall there. And it still hits comedy-wise the same way it does when he's drunk.
Yes, exactly. But but here's the other thing. So the first decision is, hey, we're gonna get in this car. Here's your fake IDs. We're gonna go to a blues club because you guys are
Chicago suburb.
Yeah, but you guys are like dorks, so we need to get you around girl. Like, I think that's the whole premise to this. Listen, you got two 15-year-olds and a 23-year-old Kelly Lebrock. Okay, first of all, they're not leaving Wyatt's room, and that room. They're going to Spider-Man that whole room. Are you kidding me? It's going to be like...
There was a ghost. There's ectoplasm.
And again, this is where I was like, I would want to go to the Blues Club, because I'm going to go back to what you just said here too, where the point here is to kind of show them that they are kind of cool. You know, you're not bad guys. You just need to be yourselves, and people will genuinely like you. That's kind of the whole point here.
Yeah.
Which I have problems with that anyway, which I'll get to in the end. But for this specific scene, I like that she takes them to a blues club in fucking like the south side of Chicago for the simple fact that if you want to know if you're a fucking asshole or not, go to a black bar. Go to a bar where you don't fit in, where you are the minority. And you're going to find out real quick whether or not you're an asshole, because they're going to tell you very quickly. Trust me.
That's very true. But once they get home here, they're met by Wyatt's older brother, Chet.
You stewed, buttwad.
Who is a complete dickhole, and who I would only imagine equating that to growing up with a taller, better-looking Dick Cheney. Like, that's basically who Chet's character is here. Dude, he plays this role so well. The character's written well. And I don't know if there's another actor at the time that could have nailed Chet the way he nailed Chet.
I would challenge, and I know it's easy to say that now, because obviously we have Bill Paxton on film actually being the character, and it's built up kind of this legendary status amongst these John Hughes movies. So I know it's going to be hard, but I challenge anybody watching this, comment below who could play that role now. I don't think anybody could, dude.
No.
Like, he just fucking nails it. People could do it, but it would pale in comparison to what he is in this movie.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So after offering Chet a bribe to leave him alone, Wyatt looks to be on his way to losing his virginity, but passes out before Lisa can statutory rape him. Again, that whole thing, it's like, bro, you're 15. You fell asleep at like 2 a.m. Come on, bro.
Well, they're nerds.
Muscle
They're not
up.
used to this. They're not used to this kind of lifestyle. That would be a high pressure night for me too. And yes, I was the guy that fell asleep early at the slumber parties.
The next day, they head to the mall. They're trying to be cool, but again, are attacked by Ian and Max, the two cool kids from school who are dating Deb and Hilly, and they get the icy dumped on them by Ian and Max here.
I'm going to throw this into as a PSA. Hey, nerds. Uncle Corey here. Bit of advice. If you get icy dumped on you, you're picked on, react the way these guys react here.
Yes.
Don't run away embarrassed. Don't run away crying. Don't bitch and moan. Just let it go, man. Let it go. Especially if you just computer-generated Kelly fucking Lebrock. You're good. You can dump 1,000 ices on me. I'm leaving in a black Porsche, getting a handy down the fucking highway from Kelly Lebrock. I'm good.
Great point. And I speak from experience. Don't cry and run away in this situation.
Oh no, he gonna go cry in the car.
Oh no, I wouldn't even wait until the car. It's hands down by the side as you slink away, and you're crying 5 feet away from the scene of the crime. So
I'm laughing because it's so true.
Ian and Max then see Lisa, follow her outside, where she's picked up by Gary and Wyatt in the Porsche. And again, this scene is really good. Anthony Michael Hall does a great job here. And the funniest part to me is as, he pulls up, she gives him the kiss and he's like, she likes the rough stuff.
Yeah.
And he gets in the car and she's talking to them and says, hey, we're having a party at Wyatt's house. Spread the word. And as she's talking to them, it's almost like when he kisses her and it's like that real quick thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like that wasn't written because she starts to laugh in that scene, which made me laugh. And then he starts like licking her collar.
Yes.
And she's talking to him.
I noticed that too.
That whole thing is awesome. It's that's a great job by Anthony Michael Hall in that whole scene.
Yes, he's I love him as a comedic actor, dude. He is so fantastic.
Yeah.
And everything, you want to, if you've ever been curious as to what the definition of a soy boy beta cuck is, it's Wyatt sitting in the back seat of his own computer-generated car made by the woman he computer generated. What the fuck? How did you get kicked to the backseat of your own shit, bro?
So Lisa tells Ian and Max here to pass the word around that Wyatt's throwing a party at his house. This causes Wyatt to have a meltdown. And after the scene where he's basically freaking out about the party, Lisa then meets Gary's parents as well. And she goes to his house. This whole scene is amazing. There's quite a few like one-liners in here where she's talking about him jerking off in the bathroom.
Have you ever wondered how sad it is that your son's only sexual outlet is tossing off to magazines in the bathroom?
He's doing the double-handed. I've never tossed off.
I was dying this whole scene.
I never tossed off. Shut up. I never tossed off.
This is just fantastic comedic acting right here by everyone involved.
Oh, absolutely. The dad playing it straight and like everything. It's just all four of them do an awesome job this whole scene.
Yes, and if you want to this is one of those moments. I think you brought up a really good point, like him playing the straight man. This is what kind of is a blueprint for a great start to a comedic sketch. Is everybody has a role to play, and not everybody can be the I didn't toss off guy. Yeah. You have to have everybody in their roles, and everybody in their role has to believe it and play it perfectly. And that's what makes the scene work. Yeah. Like the mom is outraged. The dad is pissed off. Lisa doesn't give a fuck because she knows she can do whatever she wants. And Gary's flipping out because his entire life is ruined. At 15, you don't want anyone knowing you jerk off, let alone your fucking parents.
Yes.
That would be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and the mom gives the line here.
I never tossed off to anything. You told me you were combing your hair. But I was.
Again, it's just perfect. I can't say enough good things about this scene.
No, I just took 30-minute showers. I don't know. I don't know why you'd be like, I'm doing my hair. That's a very short amount. Like, I had to get into it. You know what I mean? You got to set a mood.
You got to light candles.
Yeah, that's why I steamed, like the steam from the shower and shit. That looked dope. It looked like John Woo. I throw doves up in the air. It was amazing.
Yeah, I was a quick in and out. I gotta get the poison out. I'm done. Like, eventually the party starts. Hundreds of kids show up to Wyatt's house, and they're stuck in the bathroom talking about wanting to be at their own party. This whole scene in the bathroom, because Deb and Hilly come upstairs, and the whole interaction between Gary and Wyatt, Deb and Hilly, while they're in the bathroom and the girls are out in the hallway, it's so great, but it's so uncomfortable. Like, I felt myself feeling uncomfortable during the scene, which is
the opening of awesome. This scene. The opening of this scene was the most Corey and Armando moment I've ever seen in a movie, where Anthony Michael Hall, or Gary, being played by Corey in this instance, opens the door, and Armando, playing Wyatt in the background, goes,
Gary was just taking a shit.
When he wasn't. It was you, fucker.
Yeah.
That line had me dying.
And
I was
by
not
the
a fan
way,
of Wyatt in this movie. I was not a fan of his, and I'm not picking on the dude because, again, you're going up against Anthony Michael Hall, who, in the 80s and these kind of movies, you're not topping it. You just
you're playing second fiddle the whole time.
Exactly, but he delivered that line so perfectly. It was in Anthony Michael Hall's face. I love this movie.
The other thing that was great here, and I think it's right before the girls walk up to the door, and Wyatt takes the shit, and Gary says, you're in here dropping wolf bait.
I can't believe you. I cannot. You're dropping wolf bait and there are chicks outside.
I've literally used the term wolf bait since the first time I saw this movie. I'm like, that's such a good word. I'm using that for the rest of my life.
And he has.
I have. Gary and Wyatt get talked into making a woman for Ian and Max, and shit goes haywire when they forget to hook up the doll, and it's hooked up to the magazine instead with the missile on the cover.
Max and Ian, their whole, I don't know, their whole persona, I guess, is so fantastic, and they never break character throughout this whole movie. They, even when they're sitting down with Wyatt and Gary, trying to convince them to give them Lisa, I'm like, we'll trade you Deb and Hilly. Like, we think you're just being really selfish. Like,
man, but that's really selfish. That hurts.
They're such fucking scumbags. It is fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
You hate their characters, but at the same time, they're so fucking charming as assholes because everybody knew those Eddie Haskell dicks. I'm pretty sure to some people's parents, I was one of those Eddie Haskell dicks.
That's what I figured.
And Robert Downey Jr., again, we talk about one-liners being delivered when they actually start the computer simulation or whatever, and all the supernatural shit starts happening. And Robert Downey Jr. screams, "I'm shitting my pants! I'm shitting in my pants!" Dude, if you think you can be an actor, it is so hard to deliver one of those lines like that really well. It really is.
Yeah.
It's just, in the heat of the moment, a lot of people are funny. It's hard to take somebody else's words and genuinely make it funny.
Yes.
Exactly. Which is why we love actors on the show, because they do a job that we really can't do.
No, we cannot.
I got to take it back one step. Actually, PSA. Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. If you're going to be that person at a party that brings an instrument or decides to play an instrument at said party's house, watch this movie and watch what the fuck happens to those people. You get sucked up out of chimney after you're stripped in front of the entire party, and then you're thrown into a fucking pool created by the savage rains that are happening, and you're left to fucking die. Don't play instruments at somebody's party unless you are specifically asked / or part of a band that has been specifically asked. Fucking asshole. Let alone playing chopsticks. Are you fucking crazy?
Do you have any idea how disrespectful that is?
Dude, she deserved everything that happened to her. Fuck her.
Jesus Christ. Corey hates musicians. On the next episode of Phil Donahue, Wyatt's grandparents, then, Mr. and Mrs. Magoo, show up and shit starts to get a little crazier. Lisa freezes them and puts them in the closet.
He does not take your baloney.
He doesn't stand for baloney.
The grandparents here cast perfectly. They do an awesome job. Like that, just the whole interaction with Lisa and the grandparents, and then everybody's reaction to finding out that the grandparents are in the closet is amazing as well.
Any more of his relatives drop by, we'll be upstairs in the bathroom, okay? It's pretty sick, Lisa.
And I like how we're starting to get the callback, too, at the party from earlier in the movie, where some of the guys they met at the blues bar are now working at the party. Like, one dude's bartending. That scene with him and Ian and Max is fantastic.
And then Lisa creates a motorcycle gang to attack the party and basically force Gary and Wyatt to break out of their shell and take charge under pressure and reveal their true selves.
And this is where I have my one big piece of beef, other than Anthony Michael Hall and the Blues Club, is when she lectures Gary and Wyatt. She lectures Gary and Wyatt after they make the nuclear missile. Yes. And she's like, you wanted to be big shots. When are you going to learn people are going to like you for who you are, not what you can give them? If that's the case, why did you make them a Porsche? Why did you make them a Ferrari? Why did you put them in suits? Why didn't you just let them be who they were? And everybody would like it. You elevate them into a status where people were now interested in who they were to draw them in. And now you're going to show them that by standing up to this motorcycle gang, we're good guys no matter what our clothes or cars look like. It's like, it's a pretty fucking long way to get to that.
It is a long way to get to that. And I'm going to go the other way with it and say she did all those things to give them the confidence to be able to talk to people and show their true selves and yada yada. I don't know. That's kind of how I looked at it. And you know what? I'm too stupid. I'm too stupid, and I didn't even question it. Okay, we'll just let that marinate for a minute.
Here's my one question, just as a quick retort. I accept that you are too stupid. I totally accept that. But how is having sex with Kelly LeBrock not enough to build your confidence? It's like, if I get a suit and a Porsche on top of being inside of that, then I feel like I'm pretty good. You can dump an icy on me, and I'm just gonna fucking throw
because
a breath
apparently they never did have sex with her, so there was no confidence built whatsoever.
Which leads us to another point. How did Wyatt get in her panties? Who put them on him? And why?
For the scene with Chet, more comedic moments.
And we got to note that John Hughes is not down with cross-dressing. Just fucking be clear.
Yes, we'll put that front and center. So Gary and Wyatt then save Deb and Hilly, and they all spend the night together. The next morning, Chet meets Lisa finally, and she turns him into the gross Chet monster. The one thing that I didn't like about the scene right after they spend the night together, like Chet shows up, he had obviously been hunting because he has a duck, and he takes his shotgun, goes upstairs, he wakes up Gary and Hilly, hits them on the head with the gun, and again, I'm not going to sit here and dump on a director. However, when you saw that on playback, couldn't you tell that, dude, this is obviously a rubber rifle? To whatever I was, 12 years old when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, that's obviously not a real gun because it's bending every time they get hit with it. Like, that was the only thing I was like, just cut that scene out where they hit, but it made it feel chintzy. Like, it took me out of the movie for like 2 seconds where I wasn't into the movie.
I think based on his other movies, I think he was too busy tossing off to having a woman with a gun pressed into her nostrils because nobody got raped. So he was just like, oh yeah, fucking jam it into her nostrils. And then they totally missed the fact that a fucking gun looked fake as shit. So it happens.
I'm gonna roll with your explanation there. But moving on.
Which is let's just say this is a good lesson. I don't think we got to make it a PSA, but it's a good lesson in life. Don't toss off in the editing room because you miss important stuff.
Exactly. Don't do that. Wyatt's parents are coming back on Sunday afternoon. Lisa magically repairs the party damage, changes Chet back, and then she vanishes herself. Wyatt and Gary take the girls back home. They like them for who they are, and now they have girlfriends. And then Lisa shows up later at the end of the movie as the gym teacher. And
drop and give me 20.
Which is another good scene.
It is a really good scene.
Here's my one more question before we wrap this bitch up.
Okay.
The parents come home. They come downstairs. Dad's a dick. Don't hug me. Shake my hand. Thank you. And they say, Daddy had a sneaking suspicion you guys were going to have a party. What makes you think your kids are popular? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. They ended up being popular. But when you left, your son's a fucking dork who has one fucking friend who also happens to be a fucking dork. Yes. So,
well, and your son's also a neurotic mess. For them to be like, he thought you were going to have a party. No, Wyatt, from the time he was born until now at 15, never even gave you a hint. And if he did have a party, it was a Dungeons and Dragons party with him, Gary, and two of his other moron friends, and they probably would have ordered pizza and maybe got like wing sauce on the couch.
Not us. Not here. No way.
The movie still holds up.
Yes.
Again, going back, whenever you're looking at stuff from the 80s, you're like, ugh, ouch, that didn't age well.
No.
There's one scene, it's a 4-minute scene. You remove that or change it a hair, And the whole movie, beginning to end, is fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I have almost no problem with this movie overall. It's fun. It's stupid. It doesn't take itself seriously in any way.
Yep.
Which is, that's what you want from really one of these teen comedies. I'm not trying to see some melodramatic shit or horrible shit happen to everybody. Like, I don't know, every fucking HBO series that's out right now.
Yes. Well, and what
like, we
liked...
can have teenagers that are just kind of like in a fantasy world. It doesn't have to be morose every fucking time.
Yeah, the reason I liked this, and the reason I don't like, I'm not going to say a lot of comedies and just make a general sweeping statement like that, but the reason I don't like certain comedies is it's a comedy. This was silly. It knew what it was. It was silly throughout. At the end, it's like, okay, the guys get the girl, but that was the whole point of the whole movie, was for them to learn that they're not dorks and they're, lovable guys and yada yada.
Right.
I don't like, at the end of a comedy, the big lesson that's learned by all, and it's a comedy. Just make it a comedy and be silly. There's 2 minutes at the end where it's like, oh, they end up with the girls and the girls like them for who they are. It's 2 minutes out of the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, every movie has to have a fucking point.
Exactly.
It's called a plot.
Like, I'm good with that.
Yep.
But a lot of comedies that I've seen, especially over the last 20 years or so, it's become more and more of that, where there's this giant lesson at the end. It's just like, oh, God.
Yeah.
This knew what it was. Comedy beginning to end. Let's be silly and let's make people laugh for an hour and a half.
100%. It's a fantastic movie. This is probably, for me, like number 3 for John Hughes, behind Planes, Trains, and Uncle Buck.
Ooh, yeah, I was gonna say 1 or 2 for me, but as soon as you bring up those other 2, I was like, okay, it might be a 3.
Right. I mean, Planes, Trains is just a different kind of movie. You barely recognize that as a John Hughes film anyway.
Yeah.
Because you think more of this for him. But dude, this movie's fantastic. Anthony Michael Hall is at his absolute best, in my opinion. He steals the show in this. Kelly LeBrock does a really good job. And of course, young Robert Downey Jr.'s fucking slaying his total of 5 minutes of screen time, I think.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, man. It's fun. Yeah. I'd like to see him try and redo this. Especially because basically they 3D print a woman. So you could fuck around fantasy wise and make another movie like this.
Yeah.
I was wondering, and
they did answer. I was going to say, not to cut you off, but they did have the TV series that failed miserably.
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, it did. My question is, if you did this, could you still do 2 15-year-old boys making a 23-year-old woman? Or in today's world, which I don't give a shit, could you do 2 women making a 23-year-old man?
No.
That's kind of where I was like, I don't think you could get away with that, because the second he fucks 15-year-old girls, it's over.
Yeah, no, I don't think you... honestly, I don't think you could do it with 2 15-year-old boys or 2 15-year-old girls. And if you did, it would have to be a person of the same age.
Okay.
To even make it in the realm of, possibility. What I would like to see is them remake this with 2 30-year-old guys. Basically the Corey and Armando story of 2 30-year-old guys. But they have, it's almost like 40-year-old virgin, but with computers and stuff. But if you did that and they made somebody that's late 20s, whatever, that I think would play well, and it would be a good sequel to this.
So 2 incels make a computer generated woman to berate her and feel like shit, and then they end up learning a thing or 2. And
yeah, sure. Because lessons and things.
Exactly.
So, but that's all I got to. Do you got anything else for this?
Nothing, man. Nothing.
All right. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1985's Weird Science.